It says recording, but I don't know if that means you are.
All right, so I am recording. All is good.
Fantastic. We're ready. 2020.
Yeah, 2020, baby. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there for everyone listening. We actually already recorded this episode, and then for whatever reason, I bought a brand new computer that just crashed. So we're doing this again, and Kathleen is such an amazing person that she was so nice to like meet me the very next day so we could talk more. And you know what? At the end of the day, maybe it's just going to be even better.
Exactly. I feel like once we stopped recording, we had so many things that we were talking about. We're like, ooh, we wish we would have touched on that. So maybe today will be the day that we capture all of it. So it'll be good.
Right. So true. So I think it's cool too, because now I know more about your story and how you got to where you are now. So like there's so much more to like tap in on. It's almost like watching a movie for the first time and then going back and discovering things that you didn't see. So
yes.
Where do we begin? So your big event right now, or what's happening in your life, is Turn Up, Tone Up,
Yes.
which is this amazing program that you have coming out for 2020. It's fitness, it's music, it's having a blast. And you know what? Maybe this time around, let's start from where you're at now and then kind of work backwards of how you got. So, yes.
Let's
So,
do it.
do you want to talk more about Turn Up, Tone Up?
Sure. So I created the Turn Up, Tone Up workout method and program, and we'll be launching in 2020. So this is my project I've been working on for the last year specifically, and then leading up to that, the last few years, it was just kind of developing the idea and figuring out what I wanted to do. But have always had a passion for fitness and for exercise, and just have loved the benefits it's brought into my life. I feel like exercise has gotten me through so many tough times, and I always have just enjoyed it. It's always brought me so much joy just simply exercising. Since I was 3, I've enjoyed working out. So Turn Up, Tone Up was something through, so I work in 2 industries, the wine industry and the fitness industry. And I'm a very different industries, but I'm a business development manager for one of the largest wineries in the world. And then in addition to that, I've taught group fitness, and I started doing both around the same time. So it's been about 11 years that I've been doing both. And so it's kind of combining a few things that I saw. So through teaching group fitness, my favorite types of classes to teach were always classes where people were moving to the beat of the music. Those were the classes where I always saw people could push a little bit harder, a little bit longer when they're moving to the beats. I've always loved group settings for exercise, just because you'll also push a little harder and maybe keep going a little longer when other people are watching you. And sometimes it's even just the energy in the room carries you a little bit further. And then just from what I had seen, where people were lacking with their health and fitness routines, was usually with strength training. With cardio, we can jump on a treadmill or an elliptical, push a button, and we know exactly what to do. But with strength training, it's a little more challenging. And just through my research and even just people I had met and worked with, a lot of the times it was the strength training component that they were missing. So I wanted to create something that would be strength focused. And then one thing that I saw through working in the wine and spirits industry is that as just busy working professionals that are traveling on the go all the time, time is an issue. So I wanted to create something that was efficient and where you could work your entire body in a very short amount of time, and wanted to be something that you could do literally anywhere. So I travel for work a lot, and I don't always have access to a gym, or if I do, it's a tiny hotel gym. So I want something where you didn't really need a lot of equipment. So long story short, I combined all of these things that I saw a need for, or my favorite parts of my favorite types of exercise, and just kind of combine them into one. So Turn Up, Tone Up is strength training to the beat of the music with using just your body weight. So it's something you can do anywhere. It's a 30-minute workout, total body, and it's fun because you're moving to the beat of the music the entire time. So that will be something. It's a 30-day program. You get 16 workouts. The goal is to do 4 workouts every week, and that's going to launch in 2020. And I'm super excited about it, and just to share it with the world will be so much fun. I can't wait.
I know. I can't wait for it too. And like you guys, I know she makes it sound so flawless, but this has been over a year in the works. And I've seen like the behind the scenes of what she's been doing. And it's just, I love the energy. I love the people who are in it with you. I love like the colors. It's so vibrant, and like you have different locations and different outfits, and just everything about it. I feel like it's so valuable in that it's fitness, but there's also this element of like, you you know, you want to wake up to it because it just puts you in a good mood. It's like these feel good vibes that set the tone for the day. So, you know, it's definitely you 100%, because that's like your vibrant energy. Like when you walk into a room, it just like you can feel it, you know?
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, and it's meant
So,
to be, you know, my vision is to create a whole turn up, tone up community, and anyone who purchases the program will have access to the private Facebook group and things like that, and different live workouts. But my vision for it is to have different workout events and workout parties, and hopefully just help a lot of people who struggle with getting their strength training in, how to do it, not knowing what to do, not being able, you know, there's busy moms that might be stay-at-home mom that can't leave the house because their kids are there. So this kind of solves that problem. Or maybe if you're working and you're on the go, you're in your hotel, your hotel room, this is something you can do literally anywhere. So hopefully it will help a lot of people. But I've always enjoyed, like, I was a Jane Fonda girl and did like every single type of workout that was out there since I was a little girl. So I feel like I'm just living my dream of recreating like workout videos, and they brought me so much joy throughout my life to do them, and they were always just fun for me.
mm-hmm.
I hope that this will be just as fun for other people, hopefully.
Absolutely.
We'll
Yeah, and I love that you said you're living your dream too. I mean, this is something you've aspired to do since you were really young. And like, you know, honestly, like from what I've seen from you, you have so much fulfillment in the job that you have already. So to take the time and effort and to build something outside of what you've created in the workspace that you're in, you've had success with, like that's very interesting to me. So I guess my question for you is, what really drove you to spend all this time and energy to do something that to you is your dream, when like you're already set, like you didn't have to worry about this.
Yeah, and we definitely touched on this, and I've seen it a lot with some of the other people that are in our mastermind group, is that there are so many times, and it's been a big block for me, is that I have a successful career in the wine and spirits industry, and I honestly, the role that I'm in now, I've had 7 different positions in my 11 years with the company, and I've continued to move up, and you know, I am very happy and I love what I do. And so it's almost a block for me. It's like, I don't have to create my own additional company and do all these things. But what pushed me to get there, and what continues to push me to get there, is just fitness and exercise and taking care of my health has brought me so much confidence throughout my life. And it's carried me through so many challenging times, even as a kid. But just physical movement has always been there for me, and it's just such a positive place to funnel your energy when you're going through a challenging time. And I know we touched on all of these things, but so it kind of stemmed from the where I really started to get into it. So I always, since I was a little girl, just loved exercising and would do workout videos all the time, and we moved around a lot growing up. So you know, when I was moving somewhere and didn't know a lot of people, even as a kid, I would either join a sports team, and that's how I would make friends, or I would just do my workout videos, and I was totally happy doing my workout videos. So I just always loved it and enjoyed it. And then in middle school, I remember I would do a workout video and then go to school and want to teach the routine to like all my friends during PE and stuff like that. I just loved it that much. And then in high school, I remember when I would get a bad grade on a test, or if something bad would happen, I'd like go on a long run or something like that, and it would make me feel better. So it was just kind of always there for me. And there's a quote, whatever you're going through, just exercise and you'll feel better. And I feel like it's so true, because it always works. But I always wanted to do something with health and physical fitness. But when I would mention, oh, I think I want to be a personal trainer, oh, I want to teach exercise classes, people would say, well, that's not really a career, or you're not really going to make a lot of money doing that. Like, you can't just be like, what do you study when you go to school if you want to be you want to teach step aerobics? Like, there really isn't a thing. And I just wasn't surrounded by people that could guide me on the right path to get to where I wanted to be. So instead, I, got into another career that I ended up loving, but what drove me to kind of get to where I am now. So I started teaching group fitness class, and it was just more of my hobby. I enjoyed it, and I had always wanted to do it. So I had my main career, and then would teach group fitness classes on the weekends and in the evenings, and everything was great. But then what pushed me to really go for it was when I went through my divorce a few years ago. So back in 2015, that was a really big turning point in my life. And I had just really lost all of my confidence. And we kind of talked about how, going through a divorce, you kind of lose your identity. So here I was thinking for my life, I was a wife the rest of my life. And I was, hopefully soon going to be a mom and have children. And that would be who I was. And, my ex-husband and I had talked about that when he was established in his career, and once he finished school and things like that, that maybe I would even just teach group fitness and then focus on spending more time with the kids and give up my career that I love in the wine industry. And so that was even a discussion, but never did I think of doing anything big with it. And then going through my divorce, I really just needed something that was really a time where I was forced to figure out, well, who am I, and who do I want to be? Like, what is the purpose for me being here? What is my life now? Because I'm not a wife. I am not a mom yet anymore. It's not happening anytime soon, most likely. So, what am I here for? How am I going to contribute to this world? Because now it's not in the way that I thought it was going to be. So I started, I read this book called The Seed. It's by John Gordon. He's one of my favorite authors. And I'll tie that into, he was actually one of the other things that sparked my fitness journey. He actually spoke at my college, my senior year of college. He spoke at my university, and that's when I got to following him. So it's funny how he showed up in that phase of my life, and then again a few years later. But I read his book called The Seed, and it's all about finding your purpose. And in the book, he talks about thinking back to when you were a child, and what are the things that made you happy and brought you joy? Like, what did you naturally gravitate to? Because if you think about it, when we're a kid, we haven't had as many influences on us yet. We haven't experienced as much in life. So it's really just at the core, at the center of who we are. What do we like to do? And for me, it was always exercise. It was entertaining. Teaching group fitness classes, there is an element of entertainment there. And me always wanting to teach it to other people, and playing sports, and I did cheerleading and gymnastics. So there was always this kind of entertainment thing there as well. I was a salsa dancer at one point, still love to salsa dance, but so I've always had that kind of entertainment and exercise thing that are probably the things that have brought me the most happiness. I love working with people, helping people. So thinking about all those things, it's like, all right, well, what have I always wanted to do? Well, I always wanted to be in the health and fitness industry, but I didn't know how to do it. And I also didn't think I was good enough to do it. I wasn't a fitness model or anything like that. I was, for the most part, with the exception of a struggle I had with weight gain in college, for the most part, I was fairly fit most of my life, but nothing super crazy. So not worthy enough of doing what I thought I wanted to do. So I always kind of had those blocks holding me back. But then going through my divorce, I decided to do a bodybuilding competition. I was teaching group fitness classes, and a few of the other instructors competed. And I was like, you know what, this will be a great goal for me to work towards and take my mind off of all these things that I'm going through. So started training for that, and really just going through that whole process and having that goal to work towards, and seeing the discipline that it took and the effort that I had to commit to myself every single day to make it possible, just really taught me so many things. And initially I thought that bodybuilding was, the way to get into the fitness industry. And that was, I was trying to figure it out, but that wasn't it, but that was me trying to figure it out. But through doing that, I realized that I just learned so much. I was like, I want to help other people learn all the things I learned through this experience. And so doing that taught me a lot, and really just increased my confidence again. It was helping me through a challenging time in life. And so I just really wanted to give that back to others. So it was reading The Seed and then going through that divorce, which is pretty painful, and just being forced to really figure out my identity and what am I here to do, that pushed me to do that. And then the other piece of it was through just finding my purpose. I had a really tough time in college when I went from being a high school athlete to being about 35 pounds overweight my junior year. And in high school, I was this very confident, outgoing person, very active, always wanted to be social and around people, not straight A student, but, pretty good grades all through high school. And then get to college, and I started out the same way. And then all of a sudden, your body doesn't work the same way as it does when you're 18 and playing volleyball every single day. It changes. And even though I was still exercising, I just started to lose my health. I had a medical withdrawal one semester. That's how bad my health got. I had multiple surgeries, and I was just in a really dark place. I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to leave my apartment. I really just wanted to stay inside and watch TV. And it just got to a point where I had no energy, no confidence. And it was like, this is my new life. And I didn't even recognize who I was. So at that point, I just really had to ask myself, who are you? Are you the person that you were in high school when you were active and outgoing and doing all these great things and, successful and hardworking? Or are you this new person that has no energy, very low self-esteem, not really going after any of your goals, not feeling good every day? Which you have a choice. Like, you don't have to stay where you are right now. You were capable of being the other way. Like, who do you want to be? So going through that and was another big thing where after my divorce, when I was reading that book and I was thinking back to that time, it's like, you know what? I feel like my purpose here is really to help people. I would love to help young women, especially who are in high school or in college, because that's a huge turning point for them. When you're leaving high school, you're finally on your own and you're trying to figure out how to take care of yourself, and you're setting yourself up for what career path you're going to choose. And you really need your health and your energy, and especially your confidence, to be able to make good decisions at that point. And then same thing, for people going through really anything in life, just exercise helped me through it so much. And so that living that experience in college and then going through my divorce and then even working in the wine industry, I just meet so many people that struggle with their health, and if you don't have it, it really does carry over into all other aspects of your life. And if you don't have your health, you don't have your confidence. And I'm sure men need their confidence as well, but I'm female, and speaking as a female, I've seen and I know how important it is just to feel good. And when you have confidence, I just feel like we make better decisions and our standards are higher and we go after bigger goals, and we just believe in ourselves and are capable of so much more when we have that. So those two experiences, for the most part, the health issues in college and then going through that divorce, are really what drove me to figure out, like, why am I here, and really pushed me to actually make it happen.
Yeah. Wow. There's so much there. I didn't want to stop you, and so I'm trying to rein it in, but these are two very pivotal moments. And I think that a lot of people listening can relate to those two moments, whether it be a loss of identity because maybe, you know, divorce, or transitioning out of like service, or, you know, no longer be an athlete. There's so much there. But I kind of want to rewind a little bit and go back to like that college time frame, because I have worked with a lot of college athletes, and I do find it very interesting that you can gain and lose confidence back and forth, because I think a lot of people think that you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
And it transfers into like all aspects, but like, you know, that's a very pivotal time in your life. And that's not only when you can lose it, but also, you know, trying to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life. It's a lot. And I think that that's a big moment too, because for most of us, that's the first time that you're away from your parents, and you kind of realize like, as much as they love you and like you should have people by your side to help, like I think we touched base on this last time, right? Like nobody can save you.
Yeah.
And so there's that fine line between, you know, not trying to do it all by yourself and not trusting anyone, but also like knowing like only you can save yourself. So for you with college, was it kind of like one of those switches where you just like woke up one day and you're like, I need to change and I've got to figure out how this is going to work? Or was it like a slow progression of figuring your way back to getting your confidence?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a slow progression, and it was almost like I don't want to, I wasn't oblivious to it, but it was almost like I was in denial of accepting this new person or accepting how my life was at that point. It was kind of odd actually, but I remember there were certain moments, and then I think finally just enough things added up where I was like, oh wow, that like this really is my reality, and am I going to accept it or not? And a few things that happened, talking about just not having your confidence anymore and your energy. So my grades went down. And when I first started college, I did really, really well and had like a 3.5 grade point average, and then did not have a 3.5 grade point average a few semesters. And it was when I had started to just have that shift. So my grades went down. So I wasn't working as hard. I wouldn't want to go to class because I just didn't like the idea of having to wake up in the morning and get dressed and not fit into my clothing anymore that I have worn the same size most of my life, or at least most of the recent years. And then physically, there were a few things that happened. I remember going on a run. I still exercised all the time, but I remember going on a run with a few friends, and it was so hard for me. And I used to be able to run like a 3-mile run was kind of my base, no problem at all. And I was with one of my friends, and she just kept going, and I was struggling the whole time. And I remember just feeling so frustrated and like, Kathleen, you're an athlete. Why, like this, you've done this a million times before. Why can't you do it? Like you should be able to do this. And so there are a few physical moments like that. I remember hiking. I was visiting family in New Mexico, and I was with my aunt and uncle. So my aunt and uncle, who are 30 years older than me, and we're hiking up this hill. It's called Picacho Hill in New Mexico. And we're hiking up the hill. We're with some of my younger cousins, and my aunt and uncle were hiking up the hill, no problem. And I felt miserable, and I didn't want to admit it. It's like, I was embarrassed. It's like, how is it that I'm here at the age of probably 20 at the time? I should be like beating them up this hill. Meanwhile, my uncle, who he's a Marine, but still my uncle, who's 30 years older than me, is not only hiking up the hill with no problem, but he's also carrying my little cousin who's 3 and a backpack with all our water. And then my aunt, yeah. So that was just kind of, that was one of those moments. And then the other moment was I was sick all the time and didn't have a lot of energy. So just the wanting to stay inside and not do much was different to me. And I just felt like I was missing out on life. And then also just being sick. It's like I fell into this kind of woe is me, oh, I'm sick all the time, so I can't do this. And I was sick, but I think now if I were to have the same thing happen to me, or if I were to have an illness, mentally I'm in a place where I would push out of it a little bit quicker, and I would do things to help me feel better rather than stay stuck in that just mindset. So those were a few things that I remember happening. And then it was like a switch went off, and it was literally a quick decision. Just one day I had enough, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize the amount of weight I had gained. I knew clothes didn't fit the same way and things like that. And I just woke up one day and realized you are not the same person, and you're on a path that you're not getting better, and you need to turn this around if you want the rest of your life to look a little bit different. So finally the switch went off, and that day I went to the bookstore after school and bought the South Beach diet and learned about nutrition, and it changed my life completely. And so what I learned through that experience, just that one experience alone, was mind-blowing how powerful nutrition can be. And event like that drove me. A few years later I became a fitness nutrition specialist, just because I was so fascinated by the power of food and what it can do. So yeah, it was a slow process to get to that point, but then once a few things added up, it's like boom, make a change. And luckily I did.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what I find is so interesting about your story is you've had so many different seasons, a lot of people kind of feel like they talk about that one change or that one transition, but then they don't talk about the next one after that, next one after that, because, we can be confident and then something can happen in our lives that shifts that confidence. So kind of you touch base on how there was a lot of crisis in the family and how that affected you and your personal life. So how much longer after you gain your confidence and you're into this new field and feeling good did all of this occur with your family?
Yeah, so I gained my confidence. Oh, one other thing I did when I didn't have my confidence was I made poor choices in dating when I lost my confidence. So that was in college. So leaving college, I finally was feeling good, and grades were back up, got some of the best grades ever my senior year finally. And then I was getting into my career and ended a relationship that just wasn't a good relationship for me. And so spent a few years really just on my own, career focused, and still learning about health and physical fitness. I had that thirst for knowledge. Once I saw the power of food, it just continued. And so a few years passed, and then in my leading up to the second time when I really lost my confidence, but a few years later, so my senior year of college, my mom had a stroke. And then a few years after that, my dad, he had a very close call, and it was sudden. So my mom and my brother have always had health issues, and they've both had some close calls. But my dad, and I'm definitely a daddy's girl, he's my best friend and just the biggest influence in my life. I love him so much. And he was always just kind of the constant and stability for me. And so here I was in my mid-20s, all the confidence in the world, such high standards when it came to dating, that I really didn't date that often because I just didn't meet a lot of people that I felt met my standards. And then my dad had his big health scare, so it was sudden. He had knee surgery and was doing fine, and then all of a sudden I got a call that he was in the ICU and he had a massive pulmonary embolism covering both lungs, and they didn't even know if he was going to make it through the night. And that was definitely one of the most scariest moments of my life, because you just don't think that it's gonna that anything like that would ever happen to you. I didn't even think that was a possibility. So naive. That would never happen to me, right? But it just happened suddenly, and it totally scared me. And he's doing very well now, and was fine, thankfully, but it shook me, and it brought a lot of good, because it really woke me up a bit and was like, you know what? People aren't going to be here forever. Nothing in life is certain. And another thing that it did was just kind of showed me my family may not be around forever. And here I am having these really high standards when it comes to dating, and maybe I'm passing up on, you know, good people, and maybe I should be more considerate. And so a few months after that happened with my dad was when I started dating my ex-husband, and there were he had a lot of good qualities, but there were definitely some warning signs early on and some things that I didn't that I was unsure about, but I stuck with it because I just felt like, you know what, you've never stuck with anybody else before that you've dated, y'all, and for good reason. But in that moment, I was just like, you know what, marriage is all about the continuation of the family, and that's what we're here for. You want someone to share your life with. And so when I met him, I just toned down a lot of different sides of me and to make him happy. So I guess a few examples would be, I had a lot of friends, very social person. My friendships are very important to me. And he was a very jealous person, just didn't think that going out in a social setting with a lot of my girlfriends was appropriate, or going to have a glass of wine at a bar with my girlfriends is an appropriate thing. I was like, well, okay, maybe in marriage, you do have to sacrifice some things. Or I mentioned I loved salsa dancing, that I was on a salsa performance team at the time when I met him, and would go social dancing. And it was just something, when I salsa dance, it's like, that's almost a form of meditation for me. Like, I love it so much, and I just feel pure happiness and joy when I am salsa dancing. It's just one of my favorite things to do. But he did not love it, and so because he didn't love it, I stopped doing it. So I just didn't spend as much time with friends. I stopped doing my salsa dancing, and just kind of toned down a lot of sides to me that now I realize, like, we're all meant to just be accepted by somebody else as who we are, and not try to mold ourselves into what somebody else wants. So me toning down sides of me, I had a lot of guilt, or would feel bad if I like wanted to go salsa dancing, or if I did, oh, should I tell him? I don't want to make him upset. Just different things like that. And it really, what I should have been doing during that time was not being afraid to show my full self, and then if someone didn't accept it, being okay with that. But I think because I had almost lost my dad, and then here was this person who, you know, I thought loved me and had all these great things, that I needed to do what it took to hold on to it, in case one day my family's not there. So I really lost my confidence during that time. And then just during the marriage, especially towards the end, there were just a lot of negative words and things that were said towards me that I would never think someone who truly loved me would say. And one of our final conversations, it was very late in the, like, we had already talked about getting a divorce, so it was pretty much happening. But he called me just a lot of horrible things. But one thing that stuck with me that made me realize I wasn't as confident as I was capable of being was, he told me that he wasn't attracted to me anymore because I had gained weight. And that was something that really stuck with me. I had just entered a transformation competition at our gym and had won. So I was in really great shape at the time. So in my mind, I'm like, well, I know that I'm pretty fit right now, but why does this hurt me so much? And it's because I just still didn't have that confidence, and being such a people pleaser and wanting everybody to like me and things like that. I just didn't have the confidence to let it roll off my back. And instead, it still hurt me. Even though I didn't feel it was true, it still bothered me. And so,
well, it's your husband. Like, you wouldn't expect someone, you know, who's supposed to be closest to you to not support you. So
yeah, absolutely. So that was a big driver for me to just really find my confidence again. And then going through a divorce, for me personally, and I still struggle with it even today, I'm getting better at it, but there's a lot of shame, at least for me, surrounded by getting a divorce. I grew up in a Catholic family, and I really had this fear of just being judged, and I lost my identity and who I thought I was meant to be in this world, and didn't know if marriage would even be possible for me again. So there was just all these things going on, and I just really uh, shut down a little bit, but knew that this was my opportunity to find my confidence again. And even though it was hard and I was going through these feelings of shame and like I'm a failure and all of those emotions, that at least now I had it. I was strong enough like inside me to realize you have to push and do the work to get your confidence again. And I knew how to do it. And for me, exercise has always been one of those things that helps me get there. So that's why I funneled my energy into teaching more group fitness classes, starting the bodybuilding competitions. And there's science behind. I'm a big believer in anytime you want to work on building that self-confidence, it's setting a goal for yourself, honoring that commitment, and then when you see yourself and you honor that commitment to yourself, your confidence just continues to go up and up every time. And especially when it comes to physical fitness, like when you can see the changes, not even, yes, physically is great, but when you can see, from 1 month to the next, you're now able to lift a heavier weight or able to run a little bit further, it just keeps building onto that confidence because it shows what you're capable of. And then you start to think, ooh, well, I didn't think I was capable of this. How much more am I capable of? So that's why I just love how throughout my life, anytime I've gone through something, funneling my energy into physical fitness. And I always tell people to tie it to a goal. It's one thing to just go and work out, but maybe it's entering a 5K race or a half marathon, or maybe it's training for like a Spartan or something. But when you tie it to a specific goal, it becomes even more impactful because you set something out, you plan to attack it, and then each step of the way you honor that commitment to yourself. It just really shows what you're capable of and pushes you to do more and just really think bigger.
Absolutely. And I know I mentioned this prior, but I love that you tied in that it's so important to have like a set goal when you're doing this, because we were discussing flow mindset, and that's that like getting in the zone. And it's just kind of those moments in your life when like you are working beyond like what you feel like your level, what you're capable of. And it's just such a wonderful, like euphoric experience that you have. And what just sent me high. Oh, I got it right this time. Says that it's tied into happiness. So when he was looking into flow with like all these different diverse groups, like from farmers to people who are like into like basket weaving or whatever, he noticed that it's great for performance and getting to that elite level, but it's also just incredible for people who want to be healthy and want that happiness in their life. So it's kind of like the secret sauce to not only success in the sense that you're excelling in your career or in sport or whatever, but also just overall like being happy with yourself, because so many people try to find external sources of like, I'll be happy when, and it's not always about when, it's about, how can you be happy right now? And that's like waking up every day with purpose and goals that you're moving forward to that have fulfillment in your life. So that's such a beautiful thing. And one thing that you touched base on, and it gave me chills because it's something I'm experiencing right now, is like, we both kind of talked about how we lost our identity into like being something that our partner wanted us to be, and like toning ourselves down. And then like afterward, we just had this newfound freedom, and it was like, you almost don't know what to do, but you start to notice there's like these parts of yourself coming back slowly. And I love that you talked about salsa dancing, because there's this part, especially for me being a mom too, I felt like I lost like my sexuality, or, and I kind of felt like you feel like you have to suppress that. So through salsa, I love what you were saying about what it's like. It was my favorite part of the podcast. Can you tell a little bit more about salsa and how that taps into your sexuality?
And it goes back to that just feeling confident and vibrant. And I think most women, at least most of the ones that I know, and I'm sure men want to feel sexy too, but for women especially, I do feel like we have this desire to want to just feel super sexy and attractive and vibrant. And to feel that way, I do feel like it's when you're confident is what, will show it a little bit more. And for me, salsa has always been an outlet for it. And I also feel like sometimes we feel like we're going to be judged for showing our sexy
Yes.
side. So salsa was always just a welcome environment for that. Well, at least for me, it was just a place where it's meant to be fun and flirtatious and just have that connection. But it was something where the first time I saw people salsa dancing, I was just like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. And it's all about just having control over your body, and like you're free to do whatever movement you feel like doing to the music. So it's just so fun and freeing. And when you're social dancing, so in a performance, I mean, everybody, I think I said this last time too, like why we all have this thing, like we love Beyonce, we love J-Lo, like we love watching them because they're just rocking it on stage and they're just so confident and so sexy and they don't care what people think, and we all just want to feel that way. So with salsa, when I did the performances, like you're encouraged, it makes a good performance to like be extra sassy. And it's one of the a cool thing I like about salsa performing specifically, like if you're on a stage, is that you have to make your movements exaggerated and so big, because a little hips, if you move your hips in like a little circle, even if you think it's big, it's going to look extra small on stage because you're far away. So you really have to like do exaggerating movements, and it feels, you may feel stupid and it feels over the top, but over the top looks good. Like over the top feels good, it looks good, and that's your place where you can be just over the top and as loud as you want to be. And then social dancing, I just think it's cool. I could go out social dancing and someone could ask me for a dance, and maybe I've never met this person before, never danced with them before, but we could dance to one song for 3-4 minutes, and it would look like we had a whole choreographed routine that we had practiced, a few minutes prior, just because as a female, you learn how to follow, and it's where you just zone out. They say it's the dance floor is the only place where we let the men tell us what to do, but the more I just zone out and don't think of, ooh, what's he gonna do next? Like, oh, what should I do here? When I just totally let my mind go and don't think at all and just enjoy and am present in the moment, that's when I dance my best socially on the dance floor. So when I just am present and allow myself to have fun and enjoy the music and just being able to move and stuff, there's just no better feeling. So I love it. And that's one thing I learned is important to me. And I think we talked about this too, in a relationship, just having that, being able to have a little flirtation and have someone who thinks you're like, we want to be with someone who thinks we're beautiful and sexy and encourages us to have that side to us, not someone who's going to like shut it down,
That's really important. Guys, if you're listening.
Encourage everyone to salsa dance. Let us be sexy.
Yeah, take some salsa. Learn how to, get that way, those vibes with a lady. I tripped over my words. I'm not even gonna lie.
I love it. For me, it's salsa. For me, salsa brings out that side, and then it'll carry over into other areas. But like, I encourage everyone to find that one thing. It doesn't have to be salsa dancing. I think another place where I see it, if we want to tie it into fitness, is teaching Zumba classes. So Zumba is one of my favorite things to teach, and nothing makes me happier. I love it, and I'm smiling so big anytime I take or teach a Zumba class, because every single person in that room is so happy and so free. And it's a space where people have permission to dance how they want to dance, move how they want to move. And there are probably, there are men and women that take Zumba classes. A majority, I would say, are females. And anytime I'm in there, I'm like, I wonder if their significant other knows that they can rock it like the way they're rocking it right now. But the people, when they do these classes, they're just so free. Like people are like, woo, and clapping, and just like their facial expressions are like confident. It's just a safe place where it's like you can come in here for this hour and just let out all that energy and be your badass self, and no one's going to judge you. And I just think it's awesome to see that. So I would say if it's not salsa, maybe it's trying a Zumba class, or just finding something that really helps you to feel that way. Big confidence booster to just be able to let that energy out and find something that makes you feel good and makes you feel like you at your best self.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah, I think that's the big thing. If anything, I've learned through this whole process, and it sounds like something very similar, is like no longer suppressing that or being concerned with like what other people expect of you or what they think of you, and just kind of tapping into what feels good and enjoying yourself, because life is too short.
Yeah, I look back and I think about it, and like I'm glad that I went through it because I learned a lot from it. But some of the things I was toning down were, I feel like a lot of people find them to be the best parts of me. Like I'm outgoing. I like to be around people. I'm fun. I like to dance and be the life of the party and just like have a good time. And for someone to want to like shut that down, like, man, that I feel like a lot of times the things that we're most afraid to show are some of our best gifts to the world. Like it feels so good to just be myself and not have to be sorry for it anymore. And my relationships are better. My friendships that I have amazing friends, and I, would say I didn't invest as much time into my friendships when I was in my marriage. And then the moment I was going through my divorce, I was like, wow, these people are here for me when I don't feel like I've been a great friend to them these last years. And look how they're showing up for me. Like never again will I tone down my friendships for anybody. Like I have amazing people in my life. So my relationship with my family, friends, coworkers, they're all just so much richer right now. And they love to see, like, it's crazy how some of them knew me when I was married, or the people who met me when I was married, now that they know me after I'm married, they're like, wow, you're almost like, you're so much more fun now. You're such a different person, this more confident and vibrant and all of these things. And then the people that knew me prior to my marriage are like, wow, it's so nice to have you back. Like you're back to my true self again. So it's neat to kind of see other people's perspectives. But it's just crazy how the side of me that I was toning down are almost what most people love about me the most. And it's like, I don't know, I feel like sometimes the things we're afraid to share with the world are the things we should be sharing with the world, because it's our best parts. So
I love that. And the thing with you, Kathleen, that I think is so cool is like, you are a hard worker. I mean, you go nonstop, travel all the time, do so much, and you've made a name for yourself in the business, your company that you're doing. And then, you put everything into that, and then you go home or you go to the gym, and then you put so much work into your side hustle, your business, and helping women really feel confident and love their body and figure out how to get in shape even when their schedule is just off the wall. So the thing is like, I see so many people on social media, or like even in person, like grind, and it's like they almost get into this like so serious mode of like it's all business, but somehow you've been able to kind of make business so much fun. Like it's not even work for you in a lot of ways. So what's your secret there, you know? Like,
I do definitely try to make everything fun. I think the reason is I noticed it a lot when I moved to North Carolina. So I've moved around a lot growing up as a kid, and then for work, I've moved 7 times in the last 11 years. And so a lot of times when I'm in a new place and I don't know a lot of people, and even in the work setting, I think I'm a new team or have a new boss and just new distributor team to work with. And when I've been in this role now for about 3 years with my company, and when I got into it, I wasn't having as much fun. I was like, why is this not fun for me? And it was a lot more computer time as opposed to time out working with the sales team and things like that. And I realized it's like it's up to me to make it fun. And I want to enjoy my job. You know, we spent most of our hours working, and if I'm going to be working in my career and then also on my side hustle, I want to have fun while I'm doing it. And I'm very big on celebrating. So I feel like my mission in life is to help people live, celebrate, and get fit. So I'm very big on celebrating, and just I noticed when I started this position, I just wasn't having as much fun as I used to. But then I realized, well, it's up to me to make it fun. And it just makes everything so much better. It doesn't seem like work. So it's really, everybody has the power to make everything fun. So maybe even if it's not your end game that you're in, but how can you find joy in it every single day? And a lot of people, I'd say my management style and leadership style throughout my career early on has been critiqued pretty often because I do want to have fun at work. And so some people would criticize me and say, well, you know, you need to be serious, you need to be more professional, you need to be this. And I'm like, well, and I just always kind of shut it down a little bit and just tried not to pay attention to it, because I noticed the leaders and the people that did well and the teams that were successful were the ones that were positive and the ones that had fun along the way. And you get more out of people when they work and do things for you because they want to, rather than out of fear or because they feel that they have to. So I just feel like always creating that element of fun, it's going to be beneficial for me because I'm going to enjoy it. Everybody else is going to have fun. And this last year specifically, with being a business manager for the winery, like I really just stopped caring what other people thought. And it's been pretty crazy. Like at first there was a little pushback throughout my career with just my style and how I like to work and do things. But now it's really been kind of contagious, and you've seen other people just wanting to have fun. And there's so many people that come up to, you know, me and say, wow, you and your team, you guys just seem like you have so much fun and really love what you do. And we're like, yeah, we do. But even with Turn Up, Tone Up, the whole thing is to make it fun, because people are going to stick with things if they're enjoying it. So if we're doing a workout video, but you're miserable the whole time, you don't enjoy the type of exercise you're doing, you're not going to stick with it. So that's why when I looked back at my favorite workout formats before I developed Turn Up, Tone Up, it's like, well, which ones are my favorite? It's like the ones where we're having fun and moving to the beat of the music. So a Zumba would be that type of workout. Everybody is having fun in a Zumba class. Or the cycle classes, I noticed I always enjoy a good cycle class, but the ones where people are smiling the most and having fun or when I teach this specific format where we're moving to the beat of the music and like you have a little more freedom to move. So that's why Turn Up, Tone Up, the same thing. It's like, we're not taking this seriously. It's all levels. We're just here to push ourselves for 30 minutes, but have fun while we're doing it, and also work on our bodies, improve our health while we're there. So I feel like fun is the key element to all success. And I even picked, I always choose one word to be my word for the year. And instead of a New Year's resolution, to simplify it with one word. And this year, my word is joy, because I just want to bring even more joy into my life. So everything I do, just want to be joyful about it. Just want to give more joy to other people. And I just feel like it's the secret. It's the secret sauce. Got to be joyful, happy, and having fun.
Yes, I love that. And our discussion didn't really go into that topic last time, but I'm so glad that it did this time because, I I think a lot of people can relate to that between like feeling like there's bills to pay or there's pressure from other people like your boss, kids, giving you trouble and everything like that. Like sometimes I think that we just take life too seriously. Like we put a lot of pressure on our children to excel. We put a lot of pressure on the people that work beneath us. We get frustrated when they do things like they're late for work, or we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. Like we feel like we need to excel at this certain level. And the thing is like you can have both. You can continue to strive and have goals and do better and perform in the way that you want to be, but also like kind of go in with intention of like what you were saying, like have joy in your life, have fun with it. And if it's something that's not fun, figure out how you can make it. Like think about it ahead of time. I was saying this the other day, like if you're doing your taxes, like can you crank up the radio and listen to some music while you're doing it? You know what I mean? Like your mindset and your tone like has everything to do with how everything goes in your life. So I just love that. And I think going through what I'm experiencing right now with this separation, like that's kind of where my mindset is too, is like we weren't having fun anymore. And like that's like, new relationships, like that's all I want to focus on is like how can we just have good energy and like positive interactions. And with my kid too, there's with children, I think you want so much for them sometimes, like she's 2, so for me it's like potty training, or like how can I get her to eat right, or how can I teach her fine motor skills and make sure she's where she needs to be, and all this, going to the doctor and taking care of her when she's sick. But I mean, you learn so much from kids because they don't think like we do. They don't have those pressures. And at the end of the day, if you can just have fun teaching her how to potty train, and like don't put that stress on it, it makes leaps and bounds. So I love that our conversation went in that direction. It's such a good thing to kind of wake up in the morning with that intention.
Yeah, and you mentioned, we talked about it just with being in like your flow state and with happiness. It all kind of goes back to that too. And I was reading Super Attractor by Gabby Bernstein.
Oh, yes.
Which is all about, you have to be in the right mindset and the right space to be able to manifest and attract the things that you want in your life. And she talks about how just having fun with everything. And she gives the example of like maybe you want to manifest love or a great relationship in your life, but then and you're not there yet, or it's not happening, or maybe, and so maybe you're going out on dates and like none of them are the one, or none of them are even close. But she's like, maybe you should try just really enjoying every single date. Like enjoy the process, have fun. Don't go there stressed out about, oh, well, this person doesn't have this and this. Actually go and enjoy the process. And in doing so, that will get you into that flow state, just to be more open and attract what you truly want. So just enjoying everything, and even in the little things, just finding the joy in it. And you mentioned your daughter. I feel like kids are so great at it because don't have the pressure. So as adults, we kind of forget, or we have to work a little bit harder to find the joy in the little things. But just think like a kid. Like, kids don't care. They find joy in the smallest things. I always think when I am with my friends and they have, babies, they'll buy them all these fancy toys, but then their kid will always like something like a water bottle or something will be the best thing. They're like, oh, I love it. So it's just finding in the little things, but it goes back to, being happy and getting into that flow state for sure.
I love that. It's so good. So I think there was one thing, like I was trying to figure out how to fit it in the conversation. Like I'm not even, it never went. It probably could have, but it never went that direction. And I think a really fun conversation that we also had was about your experience with Coach Dar, because you introduced me to Coach Dar, and I just love her content. I've never met her in person like you have. And I feel like she had some advice, or I guess I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. You reached out to her, right? Like this was post divorce.
Yes.
You were
So,
going through something in your life, and
yeah. So I'm a big believer in surrounding yourself with people who are at higher levels, who are dreaming big and, just doing big things in the world. And if you aspire to get somewhere, surround yourself with people that are already there. And Coach Dar, I listen to, so John Gordon, the author of The Seed, he does this Power Positive Summit every year, and it's a free online summit for a week, and he invites all these guest speakers to come on. And Coach Dar gave a speech on it, I guess 2 years ago now, and I was just immediately drawn into her. And she is a high performance coach for and mental skills coach for professional sports teams, these big companies, and just seeing her energy and how powerful and strong she was as a female. She's like 5 feet tall, but she's like 5'1" or something. She's very and she's coaching these 6'10" basketball players, helping them. Just like, that's so cool. And something about her just really stood out. And I was like, oh man, I wish I could have it. If I could have her like as my coach, then I'd really be with it. And then it's like, well, maybe I can. And so I looked her up on her website and reached out. Like, well, let me just look into this. I was going through, that was after my divorce, and I had finally figured out what I wanted to do as far as my purpose, but I just felt like I needed someone to push me, and I needed someone, a lot of times when you have big goals and big dreams, a lot of the people that are in your life don't necessarily understand them, or don't understand why you want to do something that's so, I guess, out of the ordinary. And not that they don't support you, but they just don't necessarily understand. And so I knew I needed to seek out people that would push me to be bigger and bolder and go after my big dreams. So I reached out to her, and she was amazing, and just did some one-on-one coaching with her and just learned so much from her. But one of the things that stuck out, I finally met her in person last year in Arizona. We went out to dinner, and the server, she asked the server, how is the something on the menu? And his reaction was just like, and she goes, ooh, okay, so let me tell you, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And then she went into this rant, and she goes, and that goes for anything in life. It goes for relationships, goes for the food you're going to have at each meal, career decisions, life decisions. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And I was just,
yeah, I felt that.
I was like, this is such a simple thing to live by. And it's so simple to think about, like, anytime I'm facing a decision, and I have to remind myself sometimes but life is short. And do you want to fill it up with hell yeses or no's, or like mediocre things? No, you want to fill it up with as many hell yeses as you can. So it's been just using that advice when it comes to dating or career decisions and things like that. It's really helped me because it's just so simple and easy to throw out there, and it really does put things in perspective sometimes. And that goes back to adding more joy and happiness into your life. If you're doing a bunch of things that are a hell yes, you're probably going to feel pretty good. If you're doing a lot of things that aren't a hell yes, you're probably going to be feeling pretty drained and tired, and just focusing your energy on a lot of things that aren't truly that important to you, or aren't bringing you a lot of happiness. So it frees up more space for you to put your best energy into the things that really matter as well.
I love that. I mean, and if you think about how the brain works, like, you're always justifying your decisions. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you think, you want to find like facts and evidence to back it. But your brain is such a tricky thing, and it can lead you in the wrong direction. And a lot of times, we come from a place of fear. Like, that's our chimp brain, and that's the part of our brain that's necessary for surviving. But at the same time, like, we can get in our head about, say, like a job decision and take something that we don't love or isn't a hell yes because we're afraid about financial security. And so a lot of times what I see is these people on the internet teaching mindset. There's so much, like, what's the word? Not traction, but resistance against what they're saying because people can't wrap their mind about it because they go, well, what if you're a single mom and you have to put food on the table? Or what if this and this and this? And like, they tend to make those excuses or validate their reason for not going after that hell yes. You know what I mean? But if you know like your purpose and you have those goals, then yeah, maybe there are some times where you have to be rational and you have to like settle for something that maybe isn't a hell yes, but there's still that hell yes in the back of your mind. And like, if you care about it enough and you're in the right place mentally, you're going to push yourself to get to that place. And that's what I love about it. And that's why I think that it's so cool. And like, when you said that, I get chills because there's so many times where I've had like just hell yeses in my life. And there's so many times when like, and it's not just me, people I work with, they torture themselves trying to justify something that they don't care about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're comfortable and it's hard, and
it's practice to do it. Like if you say no to a few things, it does get easier and you get used to doing it. And it's again building up that confidence to say no to the things that aren't a hell yes. So it gets easier over the time, or we get better at it.
Absolutely. Well, I think for the most part, I know you have somewhere to be here in a little bit, so I don't, and we've talked quite a bit. So there's so much value in everything that you're talking about. And thank you so much, for being vulnerable and sharing your story. I know that there's so many people out there that you've reached and can relate to you. And hopefully if they haven't already, they're going to start getting more into fitness and figuring out, setting new goals and figuring out what it is that they really want in life. And I know you're such a kind person and you're always willing to give out a helping hand. If anybody wants to contact you or find out more about you, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so I spend most of my time on Instagram. I'm Kathleen Jane Fit on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, but definitely spend most of my time on Instagram. So it's KathleenJaneFit. But
Kathleen Jane Fit.
Yes, would love to hear from anybody and happy to get to meet some new people. So reach out, say hello.
Absolutely. You have a Facebook, same name, right? Your Facebook?
And
your website is lovely.
Also Kathleen Jane Fit.
Yes, so beautiful. You get to see all of her wonderful pictures and what she's all about and touch base with her. So thank you so much, Kathleen. I truly appreciate your time again.
Thank you. I had such a fun time. So thank you for having me. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely. And for you guys listening, please do us a favor, like, comment, repost on Instagram, kind of get the word out. We've definitely been making a lot of traction and we just want to keep moving forward and we want to supplying you with amazing people who have very interesting stories. So please reach out to us and let us know what we can do to really open up those doors and hear more about what you would like to know. So take care and I'll see you next week. So I stopped it. Do you want to stop recording?